In this wretched land, you need to have eyes all around your head. One careless step, and you either perish at the bottom of an abyss or end up in a giant spider's web. Behind every rock lurk the more skulls and crawlers. But danger can come from the least expected direction. A postman's life isn't easy, and if it weren't for my innate ability to see in the dark, I probably would have been dead long ago. Fortunately, there's still Kryspin, formerly a cartographer and mountain expert, now an alcoholic and collector of junk. There's also Flying Marion, who tries to fly away from here every day, but never succeeds. There's Greg, with whom you can play chess. And there are a few others who make life here seem quite bearable. But then you meet a bird that takes away your last rays of joy and flies away, leaving you with dark thoughts. So you sit and stare into the distance, wondering what you're still doing here. What are we all still doing here? There are so many better places to live, yet we stay in these rocks like some lunatics. And if someone even tries to leave the mountains and reaches their borders, for some unknown reason they turn back, as if we were held here by an invisible force. It used to be completely different here. Vegetation covered the slopes. Forests were full of mushrooms and berries. The life-giving light of the rocks illuminated mountain paths and underground corridors. But one day, everything changed. The luminous rocks went dark, plants disappeared, and the inhabitants were overcome by apathy and stagnation. So I ask what this is all about. But no one can answer that. Until one time, I fell into a hole and discovered an underground forest. For some reason, the rocks here still glowed, though with a dimmer light. There I found the lost dwarves. They were imprisoned by Zygmunt, a man from space, who forced the dwarves to extract energy from rocks through singing, to store it in strange spheres that he used to power his robots. In his rocket, he held the dwarf prince captive, who under threat of death assisted him with his wisdom and knowledge. So I agree to help them. We defeat the robots, we go in, and it turns out the prince is having the time of his life. And together with Zygmunt, they're planning world domination and a great career. The dwarves went into a frenzy. Zygmunt grabbed his weapon. A fight broke out, and someone accidentally pressed a button. Suddenly, everything started shaking. There was a mighty roar of engines, and the rocket with all of us aboard soared into space. But since it had too little fuel, it started falling right away. An emergency separation procedure activated and ejected with the cabin. We got stuck somewhere among the highest mountain peaks. Dazed and shocked, I walked out of there with unsteady steps and half-conscious moved forward. Wandering among the clouds, I met an unknown being. It was Virgil. He treated me to cucumbers. I asked, "Where did you get the cucumbers?" And he replied that there are things that happen in other zones than the world we're in now. Then he looked into my eyes, and suddenly I felt like I was falling into a black lake. We found ourselves outside our reality. Here, in Virgil's zone, lush vegetation grew, and unusual beings worked at the harvest. The whole area was illuminated by the light of rocks. I ate one of the fruits and found it tasted quite good. When we returned to reality, I still had it in my hand. Who can enter their zone need not fear poverty. However, if some being started feeding on my energy, my world would suffer too. The light of my rocks would go out, and with it, plants and all beings living there would fall into misfortune.